In 17th century Japan, hidden amongst the mountains, lay the village of Shinobu. For many centuries, it had thrived under the watchful eye of the local feudal lords. However, in recent months, darkness had been unleashed onto the village. Livestock were found mutilated and drained of blood, and many villagers seemingly vanished during the night. Village officials sent scouts out the surrounding area, and what they discovered was beyond belief. Soon after, a message was sent to the elders of each of the 7 clans. The message consisted of only one word: vampires. Jinshi, a ninja considered a living legend among the 7 clans, was summoned by the elders for a special mission. He had faced countless dangers, but none as sinister as the threat now plaguing Shinobu village. The elders of Jinshi's clan, their faces grave as they spoke of the vampires. These creatures were unlike any foe the ninja had ever encountered. Their speed and strength surpassed that of any man. The elders would not have faulted him if he opted out. But Jinshi, a former resident of Shinobu village, accepted the challenge. Armed with his katana, a few pouches and a multitude of shuriken forged out of silver and blessed by the clan's priests, he set out into the night. Jinshi moved silently, his senses heightened as he approached the village outskirts. The night before his mission, Jinshi had spent some time gathering intelligence, learning the vampires' patterns and weaknesses. The leader of the vampires, a wicked beast named Akuma, was said to reside in the ruins of an old castle deep within the forest. That was Jinshi's destination. As Jinshi navigated the twisted paths, the forest seemed to close in around him. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision, and the air grew colder with each step. He could feel the presence of the vampires, their demonic energy thick in the air. Suddenly, a rustle in the underbrush caught his attention. Jinshi froze, his hand instinctively gripping the hilt of his katana. From the darkness emerged a figure, pale and gaunt, its eyes glowing with an unnatural red light. Without hesitation, the vampire lunged at him, its fangs bared. Jinshi sidestepped the attack, his katana flashing in the moonlight as he struck. The vampire let out a ghastly shriek as the silver blade sliced through its flesh, reducing it to ash in an instant. Before Jinshi could contemplate what happened, another vampire appeared from the brush. Jinshi's movements were swift and precise. With a flick of his wrist, a silver shuriken whipped through the air, striking the vampire in the forehead. The silver of the shuriken burned the vampire. Jinshi's katana, like a lightning bolt, separated the vampire's head from his body. Unfortunately, there was no time to rest. More vampires emerged from the darkness. Jinshi's katana sang a familiar song as it sliced through the air, severing limbs and decapitating heads. A crimson mist soaked the surrounding area. Jinshi realized these vampires, based on their garments, were actually some of the missing villagers. Hours passed, and the forest grew denser. The trees loomed overhead. At last, Jinshi reached the ruins of the castle. The structure was a crumbling relic of a bygone era, its walls overgrown with ivy and moss. Jinshi could sense the malevolent presence within, an evil that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. With silent determination, he entered the castle. The air inside was thick, and the faint smell of death lingered. As Jinshi moved through the shadowed corridors, he encountered more vampires, each meeting their end by his blade. Finally, he reached the grand hall, where the vampire lord awaited. Akuma was a towering figure, his eyes burned like hot coals. He regarded Jinshi with a mixture of amusement and disdain. Akuma hissed, his voice echoing through the hall. Jinshi was unmoved by this. He remained focused, drawing upon every ounce of his training. He raised his katana and assumed a ready stance. The demon chuckled as he lunged forward. Jinshi reached into a grey pouch that hung from his belt. He then raised his hand up in a sweeping motion, releasing something into the air. Akuma was stopped in his tracks by silver dust that penetrated his eyes and mouth, causing a burning sensation. Blinded and in agonizing pain, Akuma attacked, swinging his arms recklessly in every direction. A burst of blood as Jinshi's katana removed Akuma's right arm. Akuma let out a hellish scream. Another slice, followed by another, and Akuma's left arm and right leg were gone. Akuma fell to the ground, writhing in pain, still blinded by the silver dust. With a final, decisive blow, Jinshi drove his katana through Akuma's heart. The vampire lord let out a blood-curdling scream as his body melted into a sticky crimson puddle. Jinshi, exhausted, stood amidst the dusted remains of his foe. The village of Shinobu was safe once more, the vampire threat vanquished.